Alrighty, party people. This is the list of family fun games of 2018. Now, of course, there's plenty of games out there that you could play with your family. I just decided to grab like a couple. There's so many more I could have. I could have an entire group of roll and rights that you could play with your family. But there's just so many options out there. And yeah, so let's just get to it because I got kind of a lot of them. I didn't even do a top 10. I just said, I'm just going to throw someone out here. So I'm going to start with Villainous. I did a video a long time ago with Villainous. I did it on a live show. It wasn't a video. This game is really awesome. I mean, basically, it's an asymmetrical game where each villain, like each one of these villains here, they have Prince John, they have Queen of Hearts, Ursula, Maleficent, Jafar, and Hook. And what they all do is they have their own goals. So each person has their own board with 4 different spaces on it. And you're trying to go through your deck and complete certain tasks in a certain order as you go to these locations. And then you're trying to mess with other people's by playing their cards, which are like their heroes in their world. And you're trying to complete the tasks. Whoever does it first wins. It's a good 40, 45-minute game, 2 to 4 players. This is a very, very interesting game. And that is Villainous by Wonderforge. Really good game. This can be found at Target. It's a Target exclusive. I think they've moved away from Target exclusives. This game I'm going to talk about a lot this year. This is a very slept-on game. It just came out, and this is King's Guild. And what you're doing is, and it's kind of splintery, you're picking up stuff, you're delivering it to people, and then you score points. But there's also a lot of different elements in here. So one big element being that you can when you take these resources, you're trying to fulfill things for a quest. So let's say you're trying to build an axe or a hammer for these people who are going on a quest, and they have a little board over there. And what you're doing is taking the cards and you may complete one side of it or the other side, or you can complete both. So there's actually a part where somebody else can complete the other side, and then you have to split the cards and the treasures and the coins there. You can hire workers. You can hire workers to amplify some sort of skills, but you also have your own board, your own guild board, where you'll take certain tiles and rooms and put them in there and put these people in there as well and trigger points on your board as well. So there's a lot more to it. It is a light game, and that's why I like it for families. It also plays 1 to 6, and that is why I think this is actually a low-key family game pick. Now notice I'm not going to be picking these games that seem like layups for families. I think this one is a good one though, because you can press your family a little bit and see if they like it. Here's another one. Actually, Forbidden Games. Now, they've been making some of my best games this year. I wish Raccoon Tycoon came out this year so we could actually claim it because it'd probably be in my Game of the Year conversation. But this is Railroad Rivals by Forbidden Games. And the reason why I think this is interesting is it's a stock game. So you have the city tiles and you have these stocks. And there's like different sets of types, stocks. And first you just bid on which ones, like you kind of take one or the other and things like that based on player position. And you're placing the tiles out, and when you place the actual city tiles out, you put little trains in between them. And what the mechanic is, over time, as you match these up and make these bigger routes and whatnot, you move pieces and different, like you lose, I think it's coal, it's stone and coal, and you move, I think in gold, and you move them across and you score points. But the people who do the same thing as you, they score less points. But here is the kicker. Whatever railroads you move across, you ship things across, the stock goes up. And what happens eventually during the game is people start to see where the stocks are going, and they may invest in your stock to help you a little bit, but help them in the end. And there's like a battle over stocks each round. It's so easy to learn. It plays really quick. This one is 2 to 4 players, I believe. Yeah, oh no, it's actually 1 to 5. I remember they do have a solo mode. But yeah, this is 1 to 5 players. Absolutely, it's a really, really interesting game. And it's so easy to learn, and it gets meaty towards the end, and I just feel like you're sitting around the table with a couple people who want to try something different. This is that game. I think Railroad Rivals, very interesting game. All right, oh boy. So everybody, I mean, if you've seen Game of the Year list, you know why this is popping, right? I actually watched a game of Just One happen at PAX Unplugged, and it like drew me right to it. I didn't play. I watched a whole bunch of content creators play it, and basically what this game is it's actually a cooperative party game. So usually when you play word games, you have your own little teams and whatnot. This one does not have teams. What you're doing is taking a card. You take one card, the person who's active player, they give it to to everybody else who's playing, and they have a word, and everybody writes down something that will give them a clue for that word. But if any of these people write the same clue, then they don't. Those get eliminated. And then we show that everybody shows the person who's supposed to guess, and that person has to guess. And if they do, they get 1 point. They get passed, but if they get it wrong, they lose a card. There's only 13 cards. The game goes super fast. This one cleans up, and it'll definitely clean up with your family because a lot of families like word games. So I think this is a good one, and it also just has that like performance feeling, and everybody's invested. That's the best part. Everybody's invested in you getting the points. Monster Crunch. So this one is this is a Target exclusive. Basically, this is just a sheen to draw everybody in, but the actual gameplay is just a ladder game. So basically, somebody plays a 3. Anybody else can play a 3. The next person can play a 3 or anything above it, and that keeps going around and around until you get to 1, 2, or 3. I mean, 12 and 13 and whatever. But if you start to play these milk tokens, and really all they are is multiplier tokens, you can play 2 consecutive numbers. So let's say that person was 3, right? You can have someone say, you know what, I'm going to play this milk token. I can play doubles. So I can play 3 and 3, or I can play 2 4s. You can play the next anything higher and make it harder for everybody else to go. And what happens is people have to get out of the round. They have to pass out of the round, and they get more milk tokens. And eventually, what happens is people start to get this ladder thing together, and they want to try to get rid of most of their cards. It's 36 cards. How many of the cards you have left, you've collected and played. Basically, you win the game. This is 2 to 5 players, 30 minutes. Ladder games are always easy to teach. They have powers in there. You can toss the powers out and just play and have a good time. This is by General Mills. It's about 15 bucks, I think, $15, $20, worth every penny. You know what? I'm going to knock this out, this other Target exclusive. As you can see, Target stepped up their game this year. I'm going to knock this one out too. This is Ticket to Ride New York. And the reason why, I think this is the best Ticket to Ride game to me. I think when we play Ticket to Ride, we try to get people into something bigger. And there's no reason to when you have a game like this that can be played in 15 minutes. Why is it played in 15 minutes? Because you actually have like a deck where you're going through, you're still building routes like Ticket to Ride. It's just at such a smaller scale, tiny scale. So you're just taking these cards, you're collecting the cards, you're combining them, building routes. The routes are smaller. You go through your stack of colors, and that's pretty much it. That's the game. You still have these mission route cards. Very easy. Plays quick. Now, if you're playing with like gamer people, you can play this in like 8 minutes. I think I tracked it one time. I played it in 8 minutes. 15 bucks. Definitely a good game for little kids too. You want to teach them a board game, and that's closer to that, and maybe move up to My First Ticket Ride or My First Journey, which is also a Target exclusive. I mentioned this in another video. It's called Dinosaur Tea Party by Restoration Games. Guess who's it? Kind of refreshed. And what this is a whole bunch of dinosaurs have lost their minds, and they don't know who each other are. So what you're going to do, just like Guess Who or Who's It, you're going to ask each other different traits. There's going to be 20 big tarot cards on here with this awesome work here. I'm going to pull these cards out because they are not, you can't forget them when you see them. Okay, so you have these big, huge character cards that are laying out there, and what you're going to do on your turn is ask one player a trait. So like, do they have teeth? Do they have food with them? Like different things like that. Do you have on a hat? And they'll say yes or no. If they say yes, they pull a trait out there, so that's a trait of them. If they say no, it's the next person's turn. Now, what happens is some people have little things where they can lie, or they have to say yes and no. So there's a little bit of deception there too. But honestly, all you're doing is doing process elimination until you say, "Hey, is your name Gertrude?" And they say yes, and then you get a little tea, a sugar cube, and it's a whole thematic thing. But this game just really sells you on a theme, and you kind of have to get into it. It's family time, so you can make silly accents and stuff like that, make fun of each other. This is Dinosaur Tea Party by Restoration Games. While I'm at it, I'm just going to bring the beast of them on. I'm going to reach back here. So there's a reason why this game is so popular on Kickstarter. I think a couple million on Kickstarter, and it deserves it. This is another Restorations game, and basically it's a Fireball Island. This was an 80s game. That one right there, the Dinosaur Tea Party, was made on the 70s game, and this one right here is, like, it was a toy, right? It was a big toy game, And but it was fun, and it was clunky, and it was silly. Well, what they did with this one is they tried to gamify it a little bit more, where it was actually a game where you had to use the actions for the cards. And when you use Vul-Kar and you put the fireball down the actual island, there's an actual island in here that you're looking at. As a matter of fact, I'll flip it over so you can see there's an actual island on here where you do roll marbles down here. It has different pathways. You have some little set collection things that are going on. You got a little take that, but the take that is also just putting the balls down there and watching them go. It is such a riot. I loved playing this one with my son. Game crew, we did this at work too. It was absolutely ridiculous. The only thing is missing is like having a button that just goes Vul-Kar or something like that. I don't know. I would love that. I'm such a cheeseball. All right. This is another one of those low-key hits nobody talked about. Rising 5 by Gray Fox Games. So Vincent Dutray art, super sexy. So what this game is basically concentration, mastermind, whatever. So mastermind, basically. It's mastermind with an app, and it's app-based. What you're trying to do is gather runes. There's these 4 runes in the middle, and you're trying to send your team. You have 6 people, and you're moving them around to these locations to take out monsters and combine powers and work together to gather information. And what you're doing is gather information to have a chance to figure out where this little 4 kind of diamond setup, where each rune is perfectly set. All right, so the color and the location of those 4 runes is what you got to figure out. So you have one guy who can rotate these things. You got one guy who can move some from one to another. You have they just all have different abilities, and there's one robot that mimics the other. There's another guy who helps move people around the map so they can take out more guys and get more information. And you put it in the app, and it'll tell you if it's right or wrong. And they have these constellations that kind of give you like, hey, you're cold, hey, you're sort of lukewarm, and hey, you're hot, or you got it right. And now you're supposed to work with that before you get through your deck. This is one of those really good family games that plays into people who like that type of old school stuff, but it's got a beautiful sheen on it, and that powers really make it go for gamers as well. This game has a lot of range. It's a really interesting game. Totally slept on. Rising 5. All right. Getting to some of these, well, let's get to this one here. This is Curse Court. Now, Curse Court is, I don't hear anybody talking about this one. This is really cool. So what you do is you're laying out this board. It's got 9 slots on it, and it's got a whole bunch of scoring spots. So it's got columns, it's got rows, diagonals, quadrants, and things like that. What you're doing is you're taking a set of 20 chips, and over a season, which is 4 little rounds, you're going to start placing these chips according to where you think what cards are out there. Now, what cards are out there? Well, there is a set of cards that are between each player. So if this is me and another person to my left, there's 2 cards here. I know what those cards are. Or it's 1 or 2 cards. And then over here, the person to my right over here, we know another set of cards over here. And then that player would know the other person, another person, and this one plays to like 5 players, right? Yeah, 6 players. So it could get real, like, a lot of people have a lot of information we got to figure out. But how do you figure it out? You figure it out by betting. And when you bet, people start to go like, oh, I don't know, like that person might be pulling me off a little bit here. Or they may be like, okay, like I think they're bluffing. I'm going to just go ahead and crush them. And what happens is if you bid, somebody has to bid on top of you to even replace you. And then that makes it so you can come back in at the end of the round and we settle up. This is a very exciting game. The reveal is big and it's fun. I really like this game. So slept on. The art is absolutely amazing. This is Curse Court by Atlas Games. Oh, wow. We got some big ones. I'm going to tell you that this one here is in that Game of Year territory, just so you know. Gizmos is a energy builder. This is by Phil Walker Harding and published by Simon Games. I did not even care about this game come June, and by the time it came out by Gen Con, I needed to have it, and I'm so glad I have it. Some of the best moments of the year have been playing this game. Not going anywhere. Permanent collection game here. But what you're doing is basically it has that sheen to it. So what's the aesthetic? There's a big set of marbles in this little machine, like almost like a gumball looking machine, and what you're doing is building your building a tableau area of cards, these machine cards. And what they do is they build an engine that triggers when you pick something out of the marble thing, when you pick a little piece out of the front of the marbles to add to your little area. And then you spin those marbles to score points. But what happens is it starts to trigger things as you put them away and you start to create things. When you create something, maybe because you created something that was red, now you can pick one from the front. And if you pick a yellow from the front, you get to do something else. And it just keeps triggering and triggering and triggering it. And one of the best moments of the year was when my son played this game. He's 6 years old. He triggered off he had 10 cards and he triggered out like a 5 or 6 card combo, and he was so excited. It was so fun. I haven't played this game with anyone. I don't think anybody said a negative thing about this game that I've played with. I've played with quite a few people, at least 10, 12 people. Not one bad negative thing about Gizmos. Absolutely one of the best games of the year. Stay permanent collector. Wow, I could keep going on forever, but I got a couple more here. I got a couple more boxes. I'm getting through them. Reef. So Reef was another one that came out earlier this year. This is an awesome game. It's beautiful. It's got these big old tiles in here. And I know people are like, well, it looks like a kid's toy or whatnot. You know what? Honestly, do you want to play a good game? You're missing out on a good game. Okay, so what you're doing is you're pulling out cards, and when you pull out these cards, you got these nice little chunky tiles, and you're putting out cards on this beautiful Reef board. Once again, you're going to impress people when they see this. And you put them on the board, and you put them in certain formations according to cards, and you're scoring points. And you can combine them to score multiple points. It plays really quick. 30 minutes, super fast. Like I said, once people get the pattern part down, you play the card, you grab the tiles that are from the pattern, and then if you have that scoring condition at the bottom, you score the bottom. It ends 30 minutes. This is a 2 to 4 player game. Definitely looking for that 3 to 4 player range. All right, Icecool 2. All right, so if you have Icecool 1, great. If you have Icecool 2, you can combine them together. The reason why I like this is like, this game, the box is the game. You take this out, boxes on boxes, and what you're doing is you put them together, and it's a flick game. You know, you kind of flick a dexterity game. You got these penguins. They're trying to get around and get their little fish that are actually hanging on the doors, and they have ID cards. And what they're the hall monitor, which is 1 player, and you take turns doing that each round, and you're trying to flick around and get your fish off the door handles, and then they're trying to hit you. The hall monitor's trying to hit you, and he takes your hall pass. Really, it's a fight over cards that are points, 1 to 3. But what 2 adds to it, 1, you can combine them together and do all these kind of Olympic-like things, like races and just all kinds of stuff in there. I haven't touched that. But they also have powers on the cards now, where you can do tricks and get certain things. You can do like a double move. You can do just all kinds of different stuff. They added just enough juice to make this game, make this more attractive for people who already own the game. I mean, Icecool is just a fun game. I played this one at Christmas with the family, younger kids. It just cleaned up. So yeah, Icecool. All right, you want to talk about classic? All right, so I never own the first Camel Up, and I was so happy that Icecool sent me this copy of this game, and wow. Okay, I know why this game's a classic. It is. And this one right here is a major hit because it's such a simple concept. I mean, you're betting on camels that are racing. I know that sounds silly. But what you're actually doing is you have a choice between watching how the camels move. So you shake it out in this pyramid. By the way, this little pyramid that they have in here is just so cool. And I should say it like this. They're basically racing around. These camels are racing around the thing, and they have these big old beautiful camel tiles that you got here, and they stack on top of each other. And what you're trying to do every round is, basically bet on who's first. You get these little cards, and you say, hey, yellow is going to be first at the end of the round. And you're allowing them to shake. You shake these out, comes out, and it tells you, hey, this is where the blue's going to go this round, and then they go 3 spaces, and they're just basically in a race, and you're just betting as it goes that somebody's going to be first and second, and then as you get to the bigger player counts, you can say, hey, I'm going to partner with you, and you get their points, and then whoever finishes first. If you bet on that I was going to say horse, that camel, they get points. If you if the camel came in last and you were correct who came in last, you get points. It's such an easy betting game, betting-ish game. You know, like I I had no idea this game. Honestly, I just didn't think this was a cool game. And I am so wrong, because this is a classic game, and my family really enjoyed that one on Christmas as well. I played this with 7 players for the first time, and it was just a riot. Like, everybody had such a good time. I took some silly pictures and videos. Camel Up, definitely a classic game. All right, ooh, we're down to the last 2. I don't know why I went with this one, but hey, Cryptid. This was by Osprey Games. Probably the best deduction game, I think, on the market that I know of. I could just think, I'm thinking, what's the best deduction game? Like, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking this is probably the best one, especially this year. And what you're trying to do is a board, and there's monsters. There's six little boards, and there's a monster somewhere. And everybody has one clue to where that monster is. And you're going to ask a series of yes and no questions that are very clearly defined. And if it says yes, then you get closer to getting the clues for it. If you say no, then you have to give up a cube that says, that gives someone an idea what your clue is. So eventually everybody around the board will start to, figure out, well, hey, if this person says, hey, they're only 1 away from the swamp, and this person says they're 2 away from a forest, those kind of start to intersect with each other. And then what happens is this process of elimination, somebody starts to get it, and then they can say, hey, is it here? And if everybody agrees, they put a little chip in, a little chip in, and they say, hey, yeah, that's right. And the other person goes, yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. And if they all stack up on each other, that's where the monster is. And there's like 50 or 60 cards in there, different locations. So that's a pretty cool one, man. Cryptid, this is a big hit. And even if it's a big miss, you want to get it right. So you want to play this one again. Plays in about 20 minutes. I think this goes up to 5 or 6. This goes up to 5. I forgot to say the Camel Up goes up to 8. Okay, so 3 to 8 players. It's a lot. Now, My Little Scythe. This is 1 to 6 players, plays about 40 minutes. Now, if you own Scythe is a big game. It takes, some people it takes 2-3 hours to play. It is an epic game. So what they did was they made a smaller one, and it's smaller and it's more condensed, and it's just actually kind of more fun, because you get the same Scythe part, but here's the difference. So you got like a little bit more of a friendship-like theme. It's got a action selection board that's real easy. Like you can pie fight, you can move, and you got all this little stuff. But what happens is you're just gathering different resources, and then you're trying to deliver them to, you deliver them to the castle. You collect a certain amount of apples. You build pies, things like that. Yeah, I said build pies. And then you have friendship, like you can give stuff to other people and raise points up as well. It actually is a very condensed version of what Scythe is, and but it's easier, it's super cute, and everybody can pick this one up. This is one of those things where if you have a hybrid group of people who are gamers, and then you also have like younger kids that want to play, or just people who are just novices, you can get them all at the table. Even at 6 players, this is not going to play more than an hour. Everybody's interested. Even what you're doing is so clearly labeled. The components are quality. So if you got somebody that's little around, shaking them up, or whatever, you don't have to worry about it. These are beautiful minis. And that's Stonemaier Games. Stonemaier is all about quality and tight gameplay. There's nothing you can say about that. That's what they do best. And this is a perfect example of that. And this is My Little Scythe. Definitely a big competitor for Scythe, depending on what your tastes are. But this is this is the last one, not least. There was a lot of games there, and that is my my family, kind of my family situation, family games of 2018. I could throw a couple more in there. I could think of a whole bunch of card games. I got Paper Tales back here. I got Fine Sand, which I just started playing. That's a really good one. I got Cause and Commissars, because I like games that are kind of cutthroat too. There's just a lot of good fun family games out there. I believe Muse came out this year. That was a good one too. There's just a lot of fun to be had. Family games never get tired to me, and I try to find ones that I can do that so I can play with my family and my friends and just whip them out at any point during the day or wherever I'm at. There's just so many little card games I could talk about. But I'll leave it there. What were your favorite family games this year? Can you share a moment that maybe you had with family and friends, maybe more casual gamers? Just let me know in the comments below. You feel free to like and subscribe to this video. Really enjoy making these. I hope you stick around for more 2018 coverage. And with that, party people, you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you again in your next video. Take care.